we're welcoming Juan Astasio, who did the cartoon that we all didn't agree on, which is great. Uh, but it's hard to get agreement, and I think that's a good thing. Oh, and there's the cartoon. Uh, so tell us a little bit about. Uh, just give us a little background, Juan, about yourself. And I met you a long time ago at the New Yorker, and some of your stuff has been in airmail. I love the style. I love the humor, and it's often the case I found at the New Yorker when cartoonists came over from other countries, and it could even be England. And I don't know if this was also true with you originally. The language is just a little bit off in the caption. It could just be a
Yeah.
little bit off, and maybe that was the case with you originally. I can't remember, but
Yeah.
but now it seems like you've mastered it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that was definitely the case. I remember that being like something we always like talked about when I showed my cartoons. And yeah, I'm in Spain right now, but I'm just visiting. I live in New York,
I see.
so I think spending their time, but also on work. I usually work with a friend of mine who's a poet. He's an American, native. He's like an expert with language, and every week before I submit a batch, I always check in with him, and we have like a feedback session, and he gives me some
Well, do you do
correct.
you do you write the captions originally in
Yeah.
Spanish? Hmm.
No, never,
No, never,
never.
never. I
Yeah,
see.
and it's actually hard when I try to translate it. I send it, I don't know, to my family or friends here, and I want to translate the joke. It never works. It's really hard. Uh,
Mm.
yeah.
Well, now you have Chat GPT, which so you could use that. Well, that's great. So tell us. We'll get to your original. How did you develop your style and everything? It's an interesting sort of strong how would you, Joel, describe it? There's an edginess to the style and a feeling about it that feels particular to Juan and unique. It doesn't look like a lot of other styles.
Mhm.
It's I suppose it's less. You've caught me on the hop because I have got no words to describe it. If I'm honest, I suppose when I think about it, I think that it's just not standard, isn't it? It's twisting everything, so it's a cartoon, but it's not how anyone else would perceive a cartoon. And everyone, in a way that other cartoonists have their own style, don't. And it's like everyone else is working from a similar playbook, whereas it feels like his is just a little left center of that. Is that
Yeah,
fair?
yeah, I think so. Where how did your style develop? Who influenced for you as a cartoonist, or because all cartoonists look at other cartoonists and
Yeah, I don't know if I like develop a style consciously. I think it's and if you look at like cartoons from 5 6 years ago of mine, like you will see the difference.
uh,
Uh, but my background is in I studied fine arts and illustration. I've drawn like home my life and read comics, so probably I was just like uh, you know observing and copying other artists more on the comic books and traditional arts rather than cartoonists. And I guess maybe like specifically from cartoon artists, maybe like some of the Spanish
yeah, I think
authors from.
it didn't have it had a European feel, it had a fine art feel to it, all of that, and so now we have to actually get down to the tough business
Yeah.
of finding these captions. So Trevor is our master of ceremonies here
Yes.
to see what everybody picked.
Well, yeah. To recap, we all send about 10 individually. We don't want to intimidate or influence anybody. Let's first actually, I mentioned, let's look at the cartoon and just talk about it real quick.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one, though. We have a first here. So this cartoon is of little aliens that are walking around giant human beings. I think you could assume that they've come to Earth. They've popped out. From a lot of people talk about the footwear. Obviously, it's about the scale. They seem like conquering invaders that pretty much kind of bit off more than they could shoot.
And they do have their little guns there.
Yes, that's why I would say conquering invaders, not taking samples here.
But one of the things I noticed, and this is an interesting style, the kid who's walking behind in shorts, he looks like he might be an alien. What kind of legs are those?
Yeah,
it's funny. I mean, I think that's part of your style, right?
Yeah,
it just feels a little bit. I don't think most people would have drawn him like that, or him or her, I guess. But yeah, so that is.
Well, yeah. So the one interesting thing I'll highlight before we start. Every time we do this, we match up and see. We start. We have 6 winners, 1 grand prize winner, 5 runner-ups, and we generally have to sort down from more than 6 ones that appeared on multiple lists. In this time, there's 52 of our favorites. Only 3 were shared by each other.
Wow.
So we've always had to trim down and fight for some, etc. And this one, we actually only have a consensus on 3, and the rest, I guess, we will all have to fight for.
I think when I looked at it, maybe there were 300 and something, and I just sort of went through them quickly, and I think there's this feeling as you go look, there's a strange kind of judging, where you look at it, you like it, you don't like it, you compare it, that kind of thing. It becomes sort of a weird process in which things you like originally you think about and then you don't like, but okay, let's see what we got.
So I'll just start with the 3 that we all agreed upon. We had 2 people say, "If I'm not back in 5 minutes, call for a spatula." We had 4 people say, "Set phasers to stub." One note about this was an identical caption submitted twice by 2 different people. So when we do if it makes the finals, we'll have to look at the timestamp.
Well, I'll tell you what's really good about that caption in almost a technical way. Often you have, of course, the last word of a punchline being the funny word, right? Here you have the last letter do the job. Yeah. And that's just sort of a neat thing.
Yeah.
That's just sort of neat. And, when I think of things other than funny, I think, oh, that's just a cool thing to happen. I sort of give it a plus, other than did I actually laugh at it, which I did laugh at it. But it's one of those things Lawrence and I have discussed, is that whenever you take a joke out too far, then it travels back on itself, doesn't make any sense. Okay, set the phasers to stub. It's not going to be great for them. I mean, imagine what happens after you set it to stub. They're squashed. It's like, is that going to be good? They're going to be jumping around. In other words, stub is not going to actually do anything to benefit them. It's actually the opposite. But what happens is once the joke gets to you, it works. And then it doesn't reverse, you know what I mean? But somehow I did sometimes I get confused when I'm looking at this because I'm then trying to reevaluate it, based on another logical criteria, which, you really can't do for a joke. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, and obviously it's set phasers to stun is the one letter that, in case not everyone's a Star Trek fan here. And then the last one is, we're going to need a bigger probe.
Now, I have to talk about this one because that was not on my list.
Yes, you're the only one. Lawrence is the only one who picked this one.
Here's the reason why. Although this did make me laugh.
Okay, there we go.
I'm going to give a book plug now for the book that's coming out spring or summer of 2024 in the caption contest. I have a section on not recycling captions, not going for the caption cliche. And one of the 10 examples I use is, we're going to need a bigger
probe
blank, fill in the blank, fill in some substitute for boat. which I thought was a fine caption the first couple times I saw it. But it is so overused that I just now hate to see any "we're going to need a bigger blank" joke. So
yeah, the famous the Jaws line that every
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
It was
but,
a great line.
I'm overruling Lawrence.
We don't do these.
I don't care. I don't care about the fucking book. You know what I mean? First of all, once he has the book out, then he can get to say it. But until he gets the book out, it's my books that count. Okay. So I understand that, but that's weird because when I'm looking at this or when we're looking at this, that's not, you know what I mean? It's an interesting criteria, but it's just one that I don't think, since it made me laugh and made everybody laugh, you know, you know what I'd say? It's a good criteria, but like any rule, it can't be followed completely. And this is the one time it's not followed.
All right, you can overrule me, but wait until you see what I do with this caption in the commentary.
All right, very good.
I'm looking forward to the book.
All right, you have the commentary. You have the final word here. You know, but it was funny. And then Joel had some weird thing. We don't have to get into the anatomical details. Why somehow the probe, even if it was tiny, would be fine.
No, this is don't besmirch my character with this. This is Trevor.
No, that's Trevor, right?
Yeah,
somehow
a probe is not built to size. You don't need to feel a probe. It could be the same size probe for every.
But the joke that occurs with the aliens is because you do feel the probe.
Yes,
and it's related to the exam that you have at the doctor. It's related to all of this stuff that look all at base. All humor is about, or not all, but a lot is about our fallibility.
Accepting Trevor's statement as scientific fact, I'm not convinced that probes don't need to be different sizes. You saying, Trevor, that probes can be at any size to perform the same function? Because I just don't think that's true.
That's right. If you look on the medical probe site in which you can buy these things, they come in specific different sizes.
I just want to say that I've been watching Juan's expression during this whole discussion. I think he's really having second thoughts about his decision to join us.
Hey, no, Juan put that one in. One,
Okay, that's in. The stub is in.
I think the spatula one is funny too, but we'll keep that in as tentatively. Definitely, we have two. I want to say one quick note about the bigger probe is it was the very first one submitted, and we tried to be as fair as possible. I definitely try to be as fair as possible. I personally always don't like putting the very first one submitted in because I'm like, there must be better ones. And then when I did all of mine, it's just something where I psychologically, for some reason, don't want to put the first submission ever in, but it did make it in, and it's something that I battle with, and I don't know if you guys battle with that as well.
No, I thought that also, but you know, I thought there would be better ones actually, because I thought that did well just because it made me laugh, and
it did make me laugh as well. So I guess the next step we'll go through, I guess, to see if anyone wants to fight for any, and then we'll pawns. If I can find them. All right. Well, I don't know. I don't want to put you on the spot, Juan. We'll start with Joel. Joel, do you have any? That you want to fight for here?
No, actually, oddly, not really. I think they're all pretty strong, but nothing sort of stood out on me the same way it did last time we did this. The one I'm surprised about, I thought that more people would go for. I thought that because it has a New Yorker feel, New Yorker people feel. I thought more people would go for "I can't believe we found parking." I thought that would appeal to Bob. I thought he'd really like that, but no, I'm the non-New Yorker who kind of thought.
I guess that's that's funny, but it doesn't address what we sort of feel about what's happening to them, right?
They could still leave parking armed. Just because they're coming to invade doesn't mean they haven't got to find a good spot.
I don't think they found good parking. So let's see.
There was a lot of variations on this one. They look smaller from a distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I debated which one I liked. There was one with had sort of 53, sort of went in, was longer with 53 million
Yeah, no,
miles.
I had that. I thought one of those are okay.
Yeah, I think one of those
Yeah.
we should ultimately include because it does answer a lot of it solves the riddle like we always like to solve.
Yeah.
So I'm just highlighting that to maybe pick which one we think works the best.
Does anyone know that there's a very similar sort of story point in one of the Douglas Adams book? I'm desperately trying to remember which one it is, where this invading force arrives at after years and years has been battling and then gets eaten by a dog, and that's kind of
Well, we had one of those, like, which is watch out for the paws. I didn't put it in, but
Yes.
I think there was something about it. It was a dog one.
There was a one where dogs were going to eat them. Yeah. I didn't actually no one did any Gulliver Travels things now that I think about it, but yeah, it would be the opposite. So I guess, Bob, we'll segue to you then if you had any here of your favorites that you
Okay. So I think I couldn't decide. I think one of them should be the smaller. I don't know why. I mean, I went back and forth with, I didn't think it was grade 50. I felt that it needed something more than a neat smaller from further away. It needed a little punch, something, other than that. So I put in the trillion miles. I wasn't even sure what I meant by damn the decimal point. I guess it was something better.
Yeah. I almost picked that one. I like that one.
Yeah, I think that one is about
they miscalculated.
Well, I guess I liked it because it seemed unusual in a way and made you think, right? So
I might fight for that one on your behalf.
All right, fight for it.
Go for that one.
Clearly, Texas wasn't good. Objects in the Mirror, that's like a Lawrence thing that he would be against now, I realize. But because I've been missing socks. I don't know why. But I mean, that's the weird thing in looking at it. There are things that will make you laugh, and and so then you put them in. The bigger probe. The mothership says, "Get them to step on the cracks."
Yeah, it's the step on your crack, break your mother's back. It's such an awkward.
Yeah.
I appreciate the effort there.
Yeah, it was like an effort to. You take the left, I'll take the right, because they thought that they were different ships that somehow they had to battle. I guess I like that because I like these. They don't actually work for me completely as jokes, but there's a whole component in which, okay, there's some extra thinking here. So it's sort of like the getting on Lawrence's side, sort of what he's saying, that, okay, that's an unusual thing. We're going to need a bigger probe. Works, it's funny, but it's a pretty maybe obvious thing because it's been used so much. You take the left, I'll take the right is a unique solution to, or it's a different way to look at it.
I assumed it was with feet. You take the left foot, I'll take the right. Whereas I think normally people would say you take the left side, I take the right side. And I guess maybe it's ambiguous. I don't know exactly that's what I inferred.
The scavenger list specifically said Ferragamo. I thought that was sort of funny and interesting writing, right?
Yeah.
It's got a funny word at the end. It's got a funny idea, scavenger list. So it looks at it completely differently about why they're here and what they have to get. And then it relates to the shoes. I think that's actually a good caption. I mean, and interesting words. You got scavenger and Ferragamo.
Yeah.
So I'm going for that.
All righty. Lawrence.
All right, I'm going to fight for all of them.
He's become so arrogant since the book. It's just horrible.
Let's see. So much for abduction plans. I like, but it doesn't quite work.
Yeah.
I don't like ending on the word plans. I do like no, you demand they surrender, because I like the captions that imply that the guy who's speaking is a coward. There's another one like that. where he says, "You go ahead and attack. I'll close up the ship." You know,
Yeah.
I like that one as well. I'd like to see one of the two cowardly.
Yeah, I think the close up the ship is funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You go ahead, I'll close up. It's like the guy who says, "No, you fight him. I'll hold the coats."
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
Hold on. I wanted to just kind of show their body language up close. So when their body language does matter in terms of if they are saying no. No, you demand they surrender. We said we wanted to fit the body language of the drawing, and I think it does. They definitely look like they bit off more than they can chew.
yeah, but when we zoom in here, we can see what's so interesting about Juan's style, can't we?
Yeah.
In that the way those aliens are drawn, even the way the shoes, everything looks a little bit different than you would expect. He hasn't carefully drawn the aliens. In fact, he's made them a little bit more alien now most cartoonists would draw an alien. In other words, they draw the alien fairly clearly, right? Have him makes the feet, the arms, but instead Juan made it very squiggly, very almost like they're a little bit weird, right, in their shape. But also that's sort of your style a little bit, in the ships as well. But anyway, yeah. So I do like the body language there, and so we're making progress.
We're making progress. We're Lawrence. We're gonna say that this one is the best of the interfighting ones.
Which one? I'll close up. No, this isn't what we're going for. I'll close up the ship.
Close up the ship.
You like close up the ship?
Yeah, I like to close.
Okay.
Well, this is Lawrence's fight. I'll stay out of it.
That one actually made me laugh out loud.
You go ahead attack. I'll close up the ship. Alrighty.
Yeah.
And then
you know what's nice about that? It has the other one is very plain, right? No, you demand they surrender.
Yeah.
This one feels like it relates more to observational humor. How people act and how they have something hidden in the speech, right? In which I mean, it's hidden in both things. No, you demand they surrender is clear, is obvious. He doesn't want to, he's afraid. The other one is more subtle, right? It says, it's like, oh, I'm doing something good. It's like, I'm doing, so that's why I think it's better, or just more interesting anyway.
The other ones lost it for a second. The other ones I would fight for, or at least defend, unless you brought the shrink ray, I say we get the hell out of here. I like that they want to make it an even fight, and if they can't, they've got to leave. Luckily, they have tiny brains. I thought was a nice reference to the disparity in size, and I like the idea that they still think they can win the fight because they're smarter than these huge humans. Cephaceous stub I really liked. What about just hair samples? I thought was a nice alternative to so much for our abduction plans. It makes the point that they can't. There's no way they can abduct any of the people, but maybe they can get just a little bit.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I like that.
But so we have from you. You go ahead and attack. I'll close up the ship. What about her?
I like the hair samples as well.
Yeah, the hair sample.
And then, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, Lawrence, sorry.
From space, they looked so tiny. I thought was a nice version of the joke we all want to include about how they look small from a distance. But I like the addition of the word space because I think then it addresses the fact that they're aliens. So I like that version of the joke. Remind me to send a stern letter to the Planetary Scouting Division. Kind of reminds me of an old, Bob Hope, Bing Crosby road movie. The kind of thing that Bob Hope would, say. And I like that.
I don't think most people are going to get that reference.
Yeah, but just that kind of I know they won't get the reference, but I still think it's a good joke. This kind of understated deadpan, we're screwed. and I'm going to make one last joke before we get killed.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I'm not going to make a strong pitch for this. I don't even think I can read the whole thing here. I have to pull it up from my own email. For God's sake, Frank, you're a bright green alien monster with a death ray. Now go out there and act like one. Every once in a while, I like to pick a very long caption that I think works as a joke. But again, I'm not gonna mount a strong.
No, I would put that one in and take one of the other ones out of yours, because I think that is a weird kind of joke. So let's go with let's see if we can get from other people. So let's go with that one, and you go ahead and tack. I'll close up the ship. So now we have the stub. We have my Ferragamos, which I'm going for, and let's just look at some other ones. So how many? We need six.
We have Trevor and Juan still have to go.
The Frank one.
Mm-hmm.
The Frank.
Yeah, Trevor.
Oh, whoops, sorry. We have me and Juan and I. For mine, I did the probe. Let's start by invading their personal space. The damn multiverse is it's a Hollywood trope I can't stand, and I just want to scream that anyway. By anything you can. There's a little green men joke. I'd rather they refer to us as diminutive chartreuse men.
Yeah, I almost been.
I expected fresher air. This was almost because so many had to do about shoes and feet.
Yeah.
We're going to need a bigger cookbook. Lawrence hates.
Well,
I might like that one even better than Probe. But anyway,
first the toe, then the world. I guess none of mine. I'm okay. I liked Lawrence's hair sample.
Okay, so put in the hair sample.
We'll cut down. I'm gonna just use one of mine for Lawrence's, and then we'll go to.
Good man, Trevor.
Whoa, what about our cartoonist Juan?
That's where I'm going. We save the best for last here.
Yeah, sure. Well, I try to the ones that reference the scale and the size. That was the original caption too, so I tried to stay away from them.
What was your original caption?
It was something like from Alpha Centauri. Yeah.
To be fair, it was hard to estimate the scale of the operation from Alpha Centauri.
Right. So that was So that's not great. so I think you got to find another poet. But
yeah.
No artists are going to do this now.
No, but that's not the idea. But I think maybe this would be helpful to you in a way, Juan, or your collaborator, in that, looking at, sometimes you'd expand it, but generally you put a little too much in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
The scale of the operation, Alpha Centauri, all of that it did get, the thing that it was hard, to, they seem smaller or the various things like that.
So from this list, we have the bigger probe. I liked the set phasers to antifungal was my, alternate pick for stuff, because I thought it was more gross, but I think the stuff is funnier. And I found that trying not to squeak really funny. I don't know. I thought it was ridiculous.
This is so they wouldn't get stepped on?
Yeah, I just imagine that they're, it's like little mice, right? And I don't know.
I see. So you have the spatula. But, one of the things I'm thinking about, that means he's already been squished. So it's not like the spatula is something that can rescue.
Yeah, but it's what you need a spatula to pick up something that's been squished.
Yeah, well, who cares? Why does he care at that point? That he gets so he goes back to Alpha Centauri and gets buried in the memorial
Great reference.
Yeah.
space cemetery.
Leave no alien behind, Bob. I think that's standard, isn't it?
Bob
What's
just
that?
take it off.
Leave no alien behind.
Bob,
Okay, I like that. I'll go with that as a defense.
they'll never-
Leave no air. And yeah, Lawrence, we could pick that, and then Lawrence could put that in as Joel's comment for how it snuck in. Joel. So are we
they'll
almost?
never see us coming. Kind of makes me laugh as well.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good.
Actually, that is pretty
Yeah,
good.
I like that. They'll never see us coming. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, why don't we go with that?
It's clever.
Yeah, that
I'm
could
just
go.
going to add it to the. We have. All right, so I'm going to quickly double check, see if we have any. We didn't account for the size one. I'm just going to throw in Joel's because we want to account for the size. Just we don't have to choose it. We want to. There were just so many that tried to solve the problem of why they came. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we need to
Now we have 9.
knock out 3 and pick a winner.
Okay.
And I can put some on the image too if it helps to see.
Well, why don't we start with the ones we all agree are best? I mean, I think Set Phasers the stub has got to be in there.
Yep.
I would kick Spatula out if we have to.
Yeah, I would take Spatula out.
Yeah, it doesn't make me laugh, so
It doesn't really make sense.
I think we have to keep the probe.
Yeah. No.
The probe.
Wait a second. They look smaller from a distance. Okay, they'll never see us coming. Scavenger.
Well, we need a coward caption, so I think we should go with "I'll close up the ship."
Yeah, this one I like this. The For God's Sake, but I'm not. There's not a chuckle.
Yeah.
I think
agree.
we can take that out.
I do like. It's just the most important is the big laugh. So one more. They look smaller from a distance. They'll never see us coming. The scavenger list specifically said Farragut.
You're not taking that out. Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it.
I think hair samples is good because there were a lot that talked about the fact that they cannot bring one of the people back.
You know what? Let's take it. Let's remove the probe.
What?
I don't care how painful it is. We're removing the probe.
Wait, you don't want to have. It's the one we all had that one. You want to take that one out?
No, I don't know. They'll never see it. Then take out. They look smaller from a distance.
Yeah, it's not a.
But then we don't have.
I mean, it doesn't have a lot of life in the caption.
Well, would you prefer the 53 trillion miles one?
Well, no, I mean, I don't know. That seems like a spandrel. That I wanted something in there because I wanted some life in the caption. But maybe they look smaller from a distance actually works.
It looks. If you put that on, I bet if you put that on the image, it would work. That's one of the ones I was going to say. Try it because I think that would. It has a punchiness that would kind of work.
Yeah, I think you're right. That would be a classic kind of cartoon in which, to some extent, the caption contest cartoon tries to do a little dance to impress people, and rather than a rather cartoon in which you've got this really unusual picture that's very, very funny, and then you just have a caption that just finishes it off in a very neat way. Mm-hmm. So you can take out Mike Ferragamos. You can take that out.
I'm not saying this. I'm not saying it's the winner, but it definitely feels like it does the job. Well,
it does. That's good.
So
that's funny. Let's hear him. This is great. I love seeing it. They look smaller from a distance. That's great. Let's see the other caption.
I mean, I'll have to put them all in. I'm doing them 2 things at once here. There's that one.
Lawrence, you still convinced that isn't funny?
No. Here's the thing. I think it is funny. It is. And if I had seen it years ago, I would have thought that's great. But just because I've seen so many, Dan, we're going to need a bigger this, that. I know there are people who try to shove that into every possible scenario, and they just figure out, well, what word do I need instead of both?
Let's just put in, we're going to need a bigger caption.
Then we go meta. No.
That's
no
right,
meta.
the stub.
They all weirdly they all work. Actually,
Yeah,
this is not helping.
I think it is interesting that we do get, I think, pretty good results.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean? When you think that the New Yorker's doing like 5,000, and we're getting just a couple of hundred.
Smaller from a distance looks weaker now. I'm looking at them compared to the others, and I think They'll Never See Us Coming feels weaker. So I think it's the other ones, the Probe and the.
Well, we'll do Bob's real quick.
I think Bob makes a good point that this was a really good image for the contest. It elicited a lot of strong entries, and I had a hard time narrowing my list down to the top 10. I had about 20 or so that I thought were really strong.
I think what's interesting about this is it's sillier and comes at it from a completely different angle, and also takes into what we're seeing.
Yeah, it's interesting. Again, like I said,
you know what I mean. So it's different from the other ones. I like it. It is an unusual caption, and maybe something. I think it's interesting because I don't think that this is not a. It's like what we've talked about, Lawrence, and what you talked about in the book is that it's not something a cartoonist ever would have created.
Right.
Okay? Right. It's all dependent. In other words, no cartoonist would ever draw this kind of picture with that sort of in the back of your mind that they're on a scavenger.
Right.
It's particular to the caption contest. And if we wanted the criteria of it only, but I think that's okay in a way because it adds variety to like how we choose, and therefore it encourages people thinking in a more creative way.
Right,
they're good.
Yeah, they're all good.
So
we have to knock one out, and then we have to fight for the.
Well, knock out the Ferragamo then, because I like it, but knock it out because we can go with these all work as straight cartoons. You know what I mean? That you see this picture and this is a cartoon that if you saw in the, we could start to have that, or that is a kind of criteria that we think is important. Would this cartoon work in the magazine? Would it make sense? Or does it just work? And sometimes if it's funny enough as a caption contest, we give it a pass. But our ideal is a cartoon that would work. That's another chapter that Lawrence has written about in the book. Does it? Is this good enough for a New Yorker cartoon? I mean, the old New Yorker cartoons when I was there.
I assumed Ferragamos were shoes, but I didn't quite know. I always use OJ's shoes for the stand-in of famous expensive.
Well, there was an Air Jordan joke too.
Yeah, there was Air Jordan jokes for sure. All right, well, we have our 6. Now we have to pick a winner until we.
When you flick through them, I thought that Those Ship was the one that I thought was most resonant. I'm going to even say funny. I'm going to go as far as to say funny, the one that made me laugh the most. In situ, that was the one that made me
laugh. I guess I don't have to share this. I have them all on this. I'll share the images again, actually. Alrighty. All right. So we need a laugh meter.
Good.
Well, I think that's I think that's good. But it seems like they're already there.
Yeah,
but that's
it's a little bit. They'll never see us coming, but they didn't see us here. They're there. They're not coming.
It's still
But I guess it's the idea that somehow they're going to attack.
It's good.
It doesn't seem. I guess so. You can imagine the guy with the schlumpy thing is sort of having his doubts. Yeah. And the other guy, they'll never see us coming.
Set Phasers to Stub is very clever, but it didn't really make me laugh. I just thought, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Sorry, we got rid of that one. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's the one that made me laugh out loud.
Yeah, I'm. That's the one. I'm.
All right, that's the winner.
Smaller.
That's it. That's it. That's enough. I don't want to. We'll get our revenge on Lawrence in the next contest.
All right, so this is the winner. You go ahead and attack. I'll close up the ship.
Right.
And
Let me-
who is it, Trevor? Who's it from?
I'm going to tell you here now.
Well, let's see what people voted. Let's see how their votes.
Okay. Well, we'll congratulate the winner after. Okay, so the voting is very interesting. The number one vote is the first person who wrote set phasers to stub. The number two vote is the second person who wrote set phasers to stub. I'm gonna read their names: Colin Mills and Alan Leo. Colin Mills, you submitted yours on March 14th, and Alan March 17th. So it's
Colin Mills was a finalist in the New Yorker contest 1 or 2 weeks ago.
No.
Oh, wow. There we go.
If he's from Boston.
So those are the top two. I'll go through the next. People of Earth, we have your missing socks. I can't believe we
Yeah, I picked that one.
I can't believe we found parking. If I'm not
Oh, there you go.
if I'm not back in 5 minutes, call for a spatula.
Okay.
We need to find their Achilles heel, but we'll be fine. They're all on their phone. Sorry, we're trying to be nicer to the entries here. We'll be fine. They're all on their phones. Leave it open. What are they going to take? Relax, our brains are bigger than theirs. Relax, they're glued to their phones. Or we could just forget about this whole invasion thing. So I once again think that we did better than the voting.
Yes.
I agree.
I definitely think we did.
Let me.
I mean, forget about all this whole invasion thing. Come on. Not that we want to shame anyone, but really.
All right. So you go ahead and attack. I'll close up the ship. Is by James Mole or Mole, M-O-L-E.
Oh, good.
And yep.
Well done, James.
I think he's new.
Yep. He actually used attack in two of his. But yeah, nice to read his other ones. So James Mole, congratulations on winning the caption contest. You will get an email from us to give you your prize winner, as well as the other great 5 cartoons captions.
Well, that's fantastic. All right. So
I want to thank Juan for joining us from
Juan, it was great. Wonderful stuff. More more stuff coming into airmail, of course.
Thank you.
And so we stop recording now?
I will sign off. Goodbye.